Welcome back, guys, to another Delta Fleet Flight School video on the Razorbill. Today we're going to be looking at a lot of different ways that you can destroy a swordfish in the Razorbill. These are just the ones that I know about. I love this game because they just give you aircraft and weapons and allow you to get creative with how you do your operations. So I'm just going to share with you guys what I've learned from my experience so far in the game, starting with torpedoes. Now, when firing torpedoes at a ship, you gotta remember when the ship is going to fire its missiles at you. This swordfish has AA missiles on it 100% of the time, and these AA missiles will always open up and fire at you when you get within 4 kilometers of that ship. Right now we're at 4.4 kilometers, now 4.3, and these torpedoes have a 60-second activation timer. So that means we want to get as low to the water as possible so that that timer is running while the torpedoes are moving quickly in the water at 52 meters per second, instead of just falling through the air very slowly, not actually making any progress to the target. So now we're going to drop those torpedoes and turn away before we hit that 4-kilometer engagement range. And let's look on the map and see how our torpedoes do. Now, it's always important to remember, the Swordfish always carries a torpedo tube, which allows it to fire noisemakers at incoming torpedoes. Now, the good thing about launching these as close as possible is that as long as this timer is running, this torpedo is going to ignore all noisemakers, because noisemakers are like torpedo magnets. And this Swordfish is trying to fire these noisemakers to throw our torpedoes off course. So, if we fire enough of these, then eventually these noisemakers might get unlucky. For example, this one here, if the torpedoes were activated, they would have been attracted straight to the noisemaker and have just gone right through it. On the other side is the Swordfish waiting. So that was not a very good launch of a noisemaker. But here it is launching a second noisemaker. And this one seems like it might be more effective. Right now the torpedoes are activated, and they're going to be drawn to the noisemaker. And they will always be drawn to the noisemaker over the ship, even if the noisemaker is behind the ship from their perspective. So now here we are. The torpedoes are passing the noisemaker, and now they don't see the ship anymore. So the Swordfish was able to successfully dodge torpedoes, and Swordfish do this very often. In fact, it's quite rare to hit a Swordfish with torpedoes on your first try, but still worth trying if you have a lot of torpedoes lying around and time to kill. Now let's look at another method for destroying Swordfish with the Razorbill. This time, we're going to be using light bombs to destroy a Swordfish. Light bombs are a very popular choice in competitive player versus player games because your aircraft carrier will normally start with 10 light bombs, and it only takes 2 light bombs to destroy a Swordfish, which makes them a really effective weapon for clearing away ships from high-leveled islands. Now, we are closing to 4 kilometers. At 4 kilometers, the Swordfish is going to fire an AA missile at us. There's the missile. So let's drop some flares and dodge to the side. Okay, that missile is gone for the flares. We're going to set our flares to auto because the Swordfish will fire again after about 60 seconds. Now, Swordfish are easier to hit with bombs because they are a larger target and they move a lot slower than the needlefish. If we lock the target, we also get some extra information where if the ship were perfectly stationary, how far away the aiming reticle is from the ship. Also, another thing to take into account is that there are 4 weapon stations on the ship. 3 of them face forward, and it's completely randomized which weapon will be on which station. So statistically speaking, you are more likely to see a sea whiz on the front of the ship than the back, which means most Swordfish have a blind spot on the back of the ship. So we're going to approach from behind, line up our bomb, and there we go. Bombs away. There we go, direct hits, Swordfish destroyed. This time we're going to be using Razorbills and IR missiles to destroy a Swordfish. If you remember from my last video, it takes 3 IR missiles to destroy a Swordfish, and the Razorbill can only carry 2, which is why we're sending multiple into battle. And the key to this strategy is that these Razorbills are going to fly in formation with each other, so that when the Swordfish launches an AA missile, we can drop IR countermeasures to cover both of them to make sure neither of them gets shut down. If they get too separated, then it is very possible that the missile will dodge one of the Razorbills and go for the other. So we're going to sit in the rear Razorbill. There's the missile launch. Now let's drop our flares. And the missile should be attracted to our flares instead of the lead aircraft. And there we go. Now let's jump in the lead aircraft and go full throttle to attack that Swordfish. We're going to try to get above and behind the ship and fire our missiles very quickly, and then immediately switch back to the other aircraft. Alright, Seawiz is shooting at us. Let's get out of the way. Alright, there's hits. And let's switch to the other aircraft. Oh, there's a missile out. And it shot down our wingman. So let's avenge him by finishing the job. And there we go. Swordfish destroyed. Now, if you were doing this with more players, it would definitely be easier because each player can manage their own set of flares and avoid missiles better. But if you're in a bind in single player, it is possible to coordinate the strategy well enough so that both Razorbills survive. Okay, finally, let's wrap up this video with one more unusual way that you can destroy Swordfish with a Razorbill, and that's going to be with the beloved 20mm autocannons. Now, all you have to do is just get close enough so that you can consistently lay down shots on the ship, because any shots that land in the water will not do any damage no matter how close they are. Every bullet has to land on the ship itself. There's the missile. Let's drop our flares and roll to the side. Again, we're going to have to get into that blind spot. So we're trying to get above and behind the ship, which 75% of the time means that the Seawiz will not be able to shoot at you, except in the rare instance, that 25%, where the Seawiz will be located on the back of the ship. Another thing to note about AA missiles that the ship fires at you is that within 1 kilometer, AA missiles can become unreliable and have a hard time turning to hit their target. So we should be pretty safe as long as we get close enough. And there's our AI gunner on our little chin turret opening up on the Swordfish, helping us out a little bit. But we're just going to very calmly, very steadily engage now with the autocannons, making sure to be accurate with our fire. And now we're getting too close, so let's come back around for another pass. Because we will definitely not destroy the Swordfish if we blow up the Razorbill. Alright, we're getting close enough again. We are trying not to get hit by the Seawiz, so let's rearrange ourselves for another shot. And there you go. That is one dead Swordfish by a Razorbill with autocannons. So I hope you guys learned something from this video and it helps you with your Razorbill flying and your operations in general. See you in the next video.